Great. Thank you everyone for joining us. Pedro will be doing a talk about how to connect your Dapp with WalletConnect. If you have any questions, just leave them in the Zoom chat and he'll be answering them throughout the presentation. You can go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you. So thanks everyone for joining. This will be my first virtual workshop, and I've prepared some slides for it, but I definitely would like to have as many questions as possible, because I think that for this workshop to work well, I need to listen to what you guys need to know. And from that, we can develop what is more useful for you. But these slides kind of provide a background to WalletConnect and also cover how to connect wallets to your Dapp using WalletConnect and the stack that we're going to use. I also will include links with QR codes that you can scan very easily. So you can actually go and visit the GitHub pages that we have. And yes, let's get started. So hi, my name is Pedro. I'm a co-founder of WalletConnect, and I've created WalletConnect as an open protocol for connecting wallets to dApps. In a short sentence, WalletConnect is a secure remote signing protocol. It allows a mobile wallet to remotely sign a transaction or a message to a desktop or even another mobile app where you have your Dapp that will format the transaction, and then that needs to be signed securely on the mobile app. And we provide this end-to-end encrypted protocol that allows the message to be received by the wallet in order to be signed, or the transaction, and then it's sent back into the Dapp, and you can use your favorite library like Web3.js and Ether.js and build your Dapp with smart contracts or anything you're working on for Hack Money. So WalletConnect is supported by any wallet. We have more than 100 wallets, including leading wallets in this space, like MetaMask Mobile, Trust Wallet, Rainbow, Argent, can also Save, so on and so forth. Like your favorite wallet will be included in the stack. And it's also widely supported by dApps. You might have seen WalletConnect already when you use a Dapp, and we are growing and we have hundreds of dApps using it. And in the future, we're going to have your Dapp that you're building at Hack Money. So it's widely supported by community and it has a lot of downloads. We crossed 180,000 downloads with WalletConnect, but the workshop is about how to integrate in your Dapp. You may have seen this before. It's this very simple modal that when you press connect wallet or just connect, you see it pop up for the user to actually select the options. And maybe you're not familiar about the options, but to cover perhaps the most popular ones like MetaMask and WalletConnect, you essentially have the option of connecting either with your mobile phone with WalletConnect or with your browser extension on MetaMask. And this uses a library that I've written also called Web3 Modal to make this experience easier to integrate multiple providers. But in this workshop, we're going to cover using MetaMask and WalletConnect. So the first thing is that you can visit Web3 Modal on GitHub, and I'll share links for that. And basically, it's a single Ethereum provider solution that makes it much easier for you to not have to understand all the options that are out there. And you can, for example, use NPM or Yarn, and you do NPM install Web3 Modal and WalletConnect Web3 provider. And these two libraries alone will allow you to support MetaMask and WalletConnect together. The reason for this is because Web3 Modal will support MetaMask, given that the user has the browser extension installed. So after you have installed, you have to configure it. It's actually very simple to configure it. You import your modals, especially if you're using Webpack or any other ES modules library. If you're building React, this will be built into your Create React app. And you then instantiate a new Web3 modal that you can configure the network that you're going to use. For example, mainnet. If you're using, for example, Rinkeby, you just write Rinkeby. Or if you're using, I don't know, Goerli or Kovan, or if you're using, what's the other one? Like Polygon Mumbai, it's also supported here. And Optimism and Arbitrum. So you just write your network name, and that will be enough for the Web3 model to understand what you need to do in order to connect to MetaMask and WalletConnect. Then WalletConnect requires you to insert Infura project ID. You can go to infura.com and get a project ID. The reason for this is because WalletConnect will allow you to sign messages and transactions from your wallet on your phone, but then you need to read from the blockchain nonces and balances, and all of this information is read from an Infura ID. We also provide documentation in more detail about how you can actually configure other providers like Alchemy and QuickNode or Pocket Network. But for ease of use, we actually added this Infura ID that you can add right now. After you configure it, you want to display this user model. And this is exactly how it's actually displayed. You have this promise called connect. So you do await web3 model.connect. And this will be enough from the configuration that you had before to display the options. In this case, I have an example of showing it MetaMask, WalletConnect, Tors, and Coinbase. But if you only configured WalletConnect, then you're going to have MetaMask and WalletConnect. So the configuration will then change how it actually displays to the user. And it's the user choice that's actually going to change how the promise resolves. So the promise will handle how the user connects to one of these options. And then once it's successful, it's going to return to you. So that's why you see the return of the promise as the provider. That means that you don't need to know what provider the user chose. You just need to build your Dapp and allow Web3 model to handle how these providers work under the hood. And then it's very easy because you can just insert that or inject that into your Web3 by creating a new Web3 object and inject the provider. And it makes it very easy for you to support any of these providers by just delegating that responsibility to Web3 model. It's important also to understand that like these providers comply to a standard called EIP 1193, and they have very important events. So when you use Web3.js or Ether.js, you're going to see that it exposes accounts and it exposes a chain ID for you to understand what is the accounts that the user has exposed to this Dapp and what chain ID is it currently connected to. And to do that, you can also have this point where the user will actually switch in the wallet, and you need to subscribe to these events to understand it. So if you don't subscribe to these events, you're going to think that the accounts are still the same, but they actually change, and that's going to make your transaction fail. Or the same thing can happen with Chain ID, where you are going to make a transaction, let's say on Rinkeby, and then the user chose mainnet. And at the moment, if you don't listen for these events, then you're going to break your app because then you don't know that the chain has changed. So we have two events called accounts change and chain change. We'll then pass down the data from the event that will actually tell you which accounts and which chain ID were provided so you can update your app. Another thing, most providers actually have a disconnect button. While MetaMask doesn't have this, most providers do. So it's important to actually include this logic in your Dapp as well, where you can allow the user to disconnect from the current wallet that they have by doing a promise await provider.disconnect. And because you're using Web3 Modal, it also allows it to cache the provider. So it means that next time the user comes back to the Dapp, it will always choose the same provider. So it doesn't have to be always choosing. So you might want to clear the cache provider from Web3 Modal when the user has disconnected that. The user gave the intent to disconnect, therefore you should clear it. The reason I say this because in previous hackathons, we've seen people that have kind of spent hours debugging why is my Web3 model always selecting the same provider. And the reason is because sometimes you have to dig a little bit into the docs, and this is one of the recommended parts. I think that's something that I should improve in the docs, but I'm telling you now, make sure that you clear the cache provider. So yeah, I mean, I covered pretty much the basics here. I want to make sure that we have questions and we kind of have a back and forth. You can see that in the Web3 Modal docs, we have instructions for multiple providers from WalletConnect, Coinbase Wallet, Fortmatic, Taurus, Portis, and all of these. And then you can configure your Web3 model with as many as you want. I definitely do not recommend that you use more than 6 or even 8. I think 4 to 6 is kind of like a sweet spot to not overwhelm users. And we also have documentation about different APIs and how to actually update themes, because you can have a dark mode if you want, and you can follow this QR code to have more information. Regarding the WalletConnect docs, where we have a little bit more detail regarding the Infura IDs, and we have these tabs where you can see the differences between using a custom RPC or an Infura ID. You can go to the docs.wallconnect.com, different QR code now. And then we also have documentation for Ethers.js and Web3.js, because you want to perhaps use different libraries depending on which one you're more comfortable with. My personal recommendation, honestly, would be Ethers.js, but some people find that Web3.js has a more developer-friendly API. It's really a very subjective matter. To make it easier for you guys, so it saves a little bit of time, I've created the React app that already implements Web3 Modal with Ethers, and you can fork this right now, and you basically scan this QR code, and you will just build your Dapp on top. It's a very bare bones React app, and from this bare bones React app, you have WalletConnect, you have Web3 Modal, and you have Ethers.js, and from this, you can basically just build anything you want, and it just kind of covers this integration part that we talked right now. So first question, is SafePal included in the wallet list? SafePal supports WalletConnect. You can actually visit walletconnect.com where you can see all the wallets that are supported. And I'm pretty sure the SafePal is part of the wallets that WalletConnect is supported by. Because it's an open protocol, you must understand that like there's hundreds of wallets, and every day we see a new wallet show up, and I'm pretty sure. Put the repo link in the chat. Will do. So you can go, which repo link, Leonard? Because you have this repo link, which is for the example, and then you have the WalletConnect docs. And if you're talking about the registry can be found at walletconnect.com/registry. So Jordan, can I use WalletConnect to test using Hardhat and Ganache? So that's actually a very interesting question. You can do that. So WalletConnect is isomorphic library, which means that it will work even on React Native. It will work on browsers like React, Vue, Angular, whatever library you want to use. And it will also work with Node.js. However, in order to use Hardhat or Ganache, I think that you might not want to use Web3 Modal, because Web3 Modal is a browser-specific library. So I would recommend, if you want to test it with Hardhat or Ganache, that you go to the WalletConnect docs that are right now displayed, and you actually go through the Web3 providers by itself. Don't use Web3 Modal for Hardhat or Ganache. Any other questions? I want to make sure that I didn't go too fast. It's made very easy for a reason, but I definitely think that you don't forget that we are on Discord as well, because some problems might not be as apparent now, but in the future, they can come around. And I know that this is a virtual hackathon. You have 30 days, and it's not as stressful as the weekend hackathons, but definitely make sure that you try to cover as many questions now so you can focus on building your project and not have to spend hours debugging.
Yeah, if you do have any questions, just bring them over to the ETH Global Discord page and under the WalletConnect channel. I don't see any more coming in now. We do have a few more minutes if anyone does have any questions. Looks like we don't. Well, thank you, Pedro. That was very informative. It was great to have you. If anyone has any questions, bring them over to Discord. We do have another talk with, oh, we do have one more that just came in.
So Web3 UI kit, I'm actually not familiar with this library, but I would say probably not. I mean, if you see the interface that looks like this, maybe the answer is yes, but you can't customize this interface that much. The one used by Morales, maybe not, maybe they have their own. I actually haven't looked into it. I'm familiar that some people use Web3 React and WAGMI and Onboard.js. These are popular integrations for Web3. Do you plan to become a full authentication manager and help dApps do Twitter/Discord connect? I don't think so. The goal is to still stick to Web3. And I think that Web3 Modal, as it says in the name, might expand beyond Ethereum in the future, supporting other blockchains like Solana and Cosmos and Polkadot and Near. But I still think that the best value it can provide is almost as a generalized authentication for blockchain. So you could think of it as almost like a sign in with Web3 rather than sign in with Twitter or Discord.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, great. Thank you everyone for tuning in as well. We do have one more workshop with Abe tonight at 5:30 Eastern time. And with that being said, we can head over there soon. Thank you very much, Pedro.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for coming. And if you have any other questions, go to the ETH Global Discord that sponsor WalletConnect.